We're excited to be here with you today. I've got an absolute treat for you today. I'm so excited about this. My good friend, Claudio Zolla from Rampone and Cazzani. Yes, the Italian masters of the saxophone are going to be with us live this morning, talking about the great saxophones that they make and a little history about the company. And so we're just going to jump right into this whole thing because he's on the other side of the world and he's getting ready to end his day here, and we're just getting ours started. So without any further ado, let's welcome my good friend Claudio from Rampone Cazzani. Good morning.
Hi, everybody.
Buongiorno. Is that how you say it?
That's perfect. That's right.
Oh man, I'm really excited to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you, Greg. It's a big pleasure for me. It's 3 o'clock. We are in the Alps in Italy. The weather today is so-and-so, not so great like in Missouri, but we are ready to go.
We're ready to go. I love it. Yeah, one of these days I'm going to get out there and we're gonna visit in person one of these days.
Please.
So, Claudio, just to tell you about the show, this is obviously a live show. We're on YouTube and we're on Facebook. And we have viewers that will maybe ask questions or comments or whatever. But while we wait for everybody to just kind of join in, we'll go ahead and get started. And so I was just thinking, why don't you tell us, just a little history of the company, and maybe how you got involved with the company. I know you've been with it for many years, but just give us a little background on what is Rampone and Cazzani.
Yeah, and of course, I could speak for days, so I will try to condense a little bit. But in few words, I believe, it's more than fair to tell everybody that Rampone and Cazzani is one of the oldest wind instrument manufacturers in the planet. We were founded 1818, so before the invention of the saxophone. So we started just basically making recorders and stuff in wood here in the Alps of Italy, exactly from where I am talking to you right now. And it's if you fly to Milan Malpensa International Airport, it's like at about 1.5 hours from us. You will maybe not believe that we are located in such a remote area, and it was for me as well, surprise, and it got my curiosity to understand why are we up here in the mountains. I was born in this area, but it's and for sure because we do have a museum. Musical Instruments Museum, by the way, very special, and concert season, by the way, made all by volunteers. I am one of the volunteers of the season. We have been hosting concerts with many great musicians from everywhere in the world, particularly saxophone players, and many Americans for sure, such as Jerry Bergonzi, Dave Liebman, Greg Osby, Chris Collins, who was a big friend of us and of the company, and many others. Okay.
Oh wow.
So basically, we are here in the Alps, and my dad bought back this company now 35 years ago.
Okay.
Going back to 1818, when two guys from this village, they were looking for something different to do because we were kind of disconnected from the rest of the country because we are located up in the Alps. So we didn't have like a real road in 1818. So we had to do walking, down. And two of my ancestors, basically, one Rampone and one Forni, they went down on the flat land looking for fortune, for something different, to following the fate, likely, And they met a guy in Milano who was a flute maker, a recorder maker. And the guy The guy is often, mentioned on manual for the flute and hopefully manuals, very important manuals for flutists, from the past. And the guy basically was ready to retire, and he passed his experience in some of the tools to my two ancestors that decided to come back quickly to here to the mountains to start this so long adventure or challenge in making wind instruments. And basically, I believe that the three main ingredients which were so favorable to develop this economy were the not the electricity, because we are talking of before the electricity, 1818. So in Italy, where when you are in the Alps, you can take advantage from the power of the water. So basically,
Okay.
our very first atelier workshop was next to a stream with the water mill to engage the very rudimental, very initial lathes. And so we used the power of the Alps in Italy
Wow.
to keep in motion our machinery. You know, the second ingredient that is one of these three main ingredients that was that allowed us to flourish, basically, is the main materials. Here in the Alps, we do have still today available boxwood, laburnum, and pearwood. That before everybody started using the ebony granadilla from Africa, so those were strong and hard woods, which were good enough for making these fruits and these things, And
Right.
then so main materials and energy, okay, available, just zero kilometers, as we say in Italy, And the third thing is, I think there's a predisposition, if that works in English, a genetic predisposition to find solutions here in the Alps where there is nothing, and you have to have ideas, like, use
Yeah.
fantasy to resolve any type of issues. I remember very emotional tales of my grand, of the old guys here at Rampone that were telling me, "You guys are so lucky today. You can buy your drills, your stuff at the shop, and then you can use them for drilling your saxophone and blah blah blah." In our days, we had to make everything by ourselves. Still today, we build some of our tools, and they
Yeah.
were using, because there was lack of steel. They were using the sticks of the umbrellas to make believe it or not, to make the drills for drilling the very first flutes or clarinets or saxophones that we started to make so early back in the days. So basically, 1818 is the date that where we found like a contract signed by a notary in Milano, when this guy from Milano, Luvoni, sold the company, or maybe the experience and some of the machineries, to my ancestors. So 1818 is when we started. Then later
Okay.
on, we started working with the metal. And so French horns, hunting horns, and blah, blah, blah. And very early, I jumped up to 1875, when we started working on our very first prototype of a saxophone. So Rampone
Wow.
saxophones are, we can say, since 1875.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that's very shortly after the saxophone was invented. So, I
Exactly.
mean, are you guys? Do you think you're pretty much one of the first European manufacturers outside of the sax factory?
I think we are enough right to
Yeah.
declare that, because also the Mr. Adolf Sachs himself and Agostino Rampone, the main mind of the company in the old days, used to live in the same period,
Oh yeah.
So we were not lucky enough to have a correspondence in between the two guys, which would have been amazing, for the history, even for the museum. But it's clear that we have some medals, recognisements, awards that Rampone company and Agostino got by participating at some of the European events where the Atelier Sax was present as well,
Wow.
So the two guys for sure met each other, and Agostino, who was a flutist and a very brilliant mind, for sure he decided very early in the days to start making the saxophones. But of course, you cannot compare in 1875 with others at a distance unless you
Sure.
touch it. So that's one of the main reasons why, since the very beginning, we developed our concept of sound and our bore geometry, which is called the large bore Rampone geometry. So
Right.
the shape of our body, the shape of our air, which is always the parameter number one to influence the sound of our saxophone, is dated back 1875.
Wow, that's
And we
fantastic.
inherited it, Then it's a long, very long story. The son of Agostino Rampone Teodoro used to be a flutist at La Scala Theater in Milan. And we used to have as well buildings and facilities in Milano, but always the headquarters used to be here, where we are now, And then World War I, World War II, pretty tough economical moments for the company. We used to make many clarinets, flutes, and all the winds, and just after World War II, the company was close to bankruptcy and was sold from the Rampone family. Let's say those days the Rampone family was not only one owner; it was like maybe 5 or 6 proprietary, owners.
Right.
And by the way, after the merging of Cazzani, because the merging started 1910 and was complete 1920, just after World War I ended. Agostino bought the last shares of Mr. Cazzani, and since there we stamped Rampone and Cazzani, because Cazzani was a watchmaker and a musical instrument repairman that used to have an atelier in Milano. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very long story, I don't know if
No, that's good. I mean, that gives us a good history. So let's bring it to the modern era. When you took over. So tell us about. I mean, maybe we can just jump right into some saxophones. In fact, I'm looking at one of our viewers is asking, what is your favorite model, Claudio? What is your favorite Rampone model of the ones that you make, or do you have a favorite?
That's a great question, and but you must understand that for us here at Rampone, we have few mottos. One of them is it is all about sound, and the saxophones for us are maybe a little more than saxophones. It's like almost kids. So how can I tell you guys my favorite kid? Because we design our own saxophones for sure. I will say that the more sophisticated are maybe the ones that excite me the most,
Yeah.
So basically the solista and the two voices, which are often described our two flagships, are likely two of my favorites, where the solista is representing the tradition, the very sultry, very dark, warm vintage sound that you will expect from a great vintage horn, and the two voices represents a little bit the future as well, where we are taking some more risk, particularly with the bronze solid silver, because the two metals vibrate at kind of like different frequencies, and they have different hardnesses, and it's kind of like you need to find a key to interpret the two voices, bronze, solid, silver, somehow.
Right.
Those are great horns, but it's something a little bit unexpected maybe the first time you play that one. When you play a solista is more into you imagine probably, if you already played other great horns of the history, you may find something in that kind of area, very deep, sultry, dark sounding saxophones. And so that's it. So probably this is my answer. I love all of my saxophones, from the performance to the super top limited editions, whatever. But yes, the solista and the two voices are today probably the two most special ones.
Yeah. Great. So what do you have hiding behind you there? Is there any particular horns that you want to grab and show off? Something new, something exciting, or?
Yeah, we don't have many, but because we are running late with production, luckily with many orders, as you know, by the way. But I have like this, which is like a two voices alto under production. We just completed the engraving. I don't know if it's easy to see.
Yeah, we can see that. Now, who does the engraving for you, Claudio? Is that you, or do you have specific people there that do the engraving?
Okay, when my dad bought back this company, because I will tell you quickly that my grandmother, the mother of my father, was Rampone, and we bought back the company. I say we bought back because the owner before us that bought the company close to bankruptcy after World War II was not from here, was an entrepreneur, businessman from near Milano that decided to put money and just make business, which is great, which was great because allowed the company to move forward and allowed my dad to buy it back, basically, because my dad, since he was 15 years old, started to work. The very first time he worked on wind instruments, very curious, he worked on flutes, then on oboes, then on others, and then finally on saxophones. But he used to work from home. He had his own atelier not far from here, and he used to work for Grassi Company, Rampone Cazzani Company, Orsi Company, the Italian manufacturers, Yeah. We have Grassi and Rampone here in the village, like one of the Italian districts, but Orsi was in Milano. So when my dad bought back the company 35 years ago, okay, we had to understand what to do. I was kind of still young, like 15 years old, because I'm 50 now. So we inherited even the workforce, that was available in the village. And so two were the main engravers, both of them very skilled guys, very quick, very clean touch, whatever. But they both, one passed away kind of quickly. By the way, it's very important for us, the engraving, because I can tell by the engraving the calligraphy of the engraver, So we will be coming out for everybody, by the way, on our YouTube channel with some videos, but with me explaining more about the models and about the history. That will be maybe putting the people in a position where they can recognize and date the Rampones,
Oh, wow. That would be great.
It will be called the iconic Rampones, something like this, more videos, So,
well, we'll be sure to look for that.
Yeah, this will be I think it will answer many questions. And then the engraver, I started to learn from the youngest of the two, but still was kind of old. But the guy only used the zigzag technique, which is the most used field today in the
most common, right?
Instruments, Then my dad was so curious and so he wanted to do something special, and maybe a little bit all of us we want to express personality and to show that we are. I mean, we are different. We want to do things which are different, And so we met a guy who became very, very quickly, maybe 20 years ago, my real master engraver. I will say more a mentor. This man was unbelievable. Something like probably the only guy that I can, and I was not lucky enough to meet this guy in person, was the famous engraver of Con. But with my master engraver, we first off I've learned other techniques, straight line, so where then you can become so sophisticated, by making stuff like that, and so we designed the two voices. The two voices represents the two church towers of our village, and it's coming from a painting. I'm gonna take it for you. Of a painter who used it to live in our village, and this is the painting,
By Carlo Casanova, right?
Exactly. And the title of the painting was the two voices, the voice of the bell of this church tower and of this other church tower, because these represent the Christianity, the people that they go to mass. I'm not Christian, by the way, but that's another thing. But most of the village is a Christian Catholic, So the people that leave the village, So this is the sound of the voice of the people living. And behind this church, we used to have the cemetery. So the Casanova painter was imagining, the voice of the living people and the voice of the passed away people, because of the cemetery next to these other churches. So this painting is drenched of meaning, And I was so lucky that I found these in a book, and we decided to reproduce it on our Two Voices series, And it's when I designed with my master engraver, who shocked me by the way he made it happen on top of solid silver. So since there, we are basically me and him, the two main engravers. But then the company started to grow. We have more things to do, so I need more people, And still, my master engraver passed away 2 years ago right now, with more than 90 years. But he worked up to the very end. It's one guy that invested his life in engraving, He was engraving for jewelry. He was engraving on musical instruments, on cutlery, on trays, solid silver trays. Unbelievable jobs, And then 2 years ago, I had to, we were already training a new engraver, who is today the new engraver, who is, again, unbelievable. She is still, kind of learning, but she overpassed me already by her way of painting, because she draws like a painter,
Oh, beautiful.
I can realize quickly, but I'm maybe better in copying something, She can draw and engrave.
Okay.
So if you want, I can even call her to come and
we may do that another time. I just want to say that's one of the things I love about your horns is the engraving, because it doesn't look like anybody else's engraving out there. It really kind of harkens back to that, what I call the golden age of musical instrument engraving, back the guys at Kahn and Busher and King and all those guys back in the day that made just things that you just don't see on saxophones anymore. And you guys have brought that back in a beautiful way. And I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
We've got a couple other questions on here. Let's see. How long does it take to make a Two Voices saxophone?
Wow, that's another great question. Because I would love to have a very precise answer for myself, but I don't. But to give you an idea, normally, the average for us for making one of our saxophones, and we are a team of 12 people inside the company, plus some craftsmen working at home, for us here in the area. So altogether, you could consider 20 people working, and we are capable today. So every one of us is specialized in making something, okay, except for maybe my dad and maybe the most maybe including me as well, that we have an idea, generic idea of how it works from scratch to the end, So nobody is starting with one saxophone and finishing that. So we have the guys that specialize in making the bells. So I'm going to go there and ask them, okay, we need to finish 10 bells for tenor, solid silver, 50 in copper, 50 in brass, please. So they will concentrate on 110 bells. We put them in stock. Then we stamp the tonos, blah, blah, blah. Then in the meantime, there are people which are the keys managers. So they solder the keys. And we process every single component of our keys. Then there is a rough assembler. So all these steps together, we should be able, but we often exceed, to finish. Like the alto, which is the quickest to make, the alto maybe in 80 hours. But not the Two Voices, 80 hours will be the average for making an alto,
Right.
So it can be that maybe for the performance, it takes maybe only 76, whatever. And for the Two Voices, much longer, because this maybe is part of the answer. It takes at least 3 entire working days to realize these engraving.
Right.
It was just 24 hours just for the engraving. So for the Two Voices, we easily exceed 100 hours, probably more like 130.
Wow. Well, when it's handmade, you got to do it right.
Yeah, of course.
It takes time to do it right. So
there is always minor unexpected and things that you want to do even a little better, check and double check and triple check. So there is not like, it's not like a machine making, you know, that there is a machine that, okay, boom, 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 10 minutes, 10
Right.
minutes, 10 minutes. No, can be 9 minutes, 9 minutes 30, next time 10 minutes 10. So all these steps together are getting to average production time, you know.
Yeah.
But it's never exactly the same, you know.
That's awesome. So let's see what other questions we have here. And we'll kind of rephrase this a little bit. What are you most excited about right now? What's new? What's exciting that you're working on? Something that we maybe don't know about yet, or
Okay, so
kind of an
maybe we
insider secrets.
if you wish, I have been mentioning you and very, 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 very few others in the world right now, but because I am so happy to say that we have this great relationship with Palin, which is our main, is like the Rampone in the United States. I may want to do an exception and unveil something that is going to be presented hopefully within the end of the year.
Okay.
Okay. So we do have a tenor here. Which is like in bear brass right now,
Right.
which is basically becoming making the boutique area even more populated, you know.
Okay.
Because right now, as you know, we have the performance that is available to customers that they want to buy a Rampone without investing too much money, and they go standard. Then we step into the boutique area that I describe, where we have no lacquer, only bare metals or platings, which is much different than lacquering. So our layers of finishing are in the boutique area: silver plating, gold plating, sometimes even rhodium plating for limited editions, or the bare metals. And our wish is to enlarge that boutique area, presenting a line which is basically representing everything that we have today in the boutique area is based on our R1 or R1 Jazz, if you prefer, board geometry. We have been making investments, very big investments for our turnover to make the performance, and we discovered that the people like as well very much, maybe not all of them, but even a board which is still Rampone board, not small, not slim, but slightly smaller compared to the R1 Jazz. So this is going to be something which you can imagine like an R2. It's not going to be called R2 because they already have a name, but by I don't want to we will unveil the name later on, but for sure we are working right now on a new line to complete or enlarge our offer in between the boutique area.
Fantastic. Well, that's exciting.
Watch out, because I think it's going to be this is one of the pioneers, and it's already making us very excited, because there will be people that will stay stuck for sure on the Solista and the two voices or R1 Jazz, but others that they may find in this new series something more appropriate for their habits, because they will need maybe to change less compared to what they are doing today to blow their own saxophones, to jump on board of the Rampone, but still gaining the Rampone identity, the Rampone idea of sound, which is basically, when I talk of boutique saxophones, multi-dimensionality of sound. I don't personally like one-dimensional sounding saxophones, and so that's basically it.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the things I love about the Rampone saxophones is their multi-dimensionality. I mean, the sound is just complex, it's diverse, it doesn't sound like anybody else's saxophones, and that's one of the best things that you can say, really, is that You are original, and that's one of the best things that you can be in this world today. So I absolutely love that, and super excited about new models coming down the line. That'll be really amazing. Let's see, we got a few folks on here. Good morning, Amber and Nate, Elijah, all you folks out there. Thanks for joining the show. Let's see, what else? I mean, we could sit here and talk for hours, Claudio. I know you, you and I do that. You don't happen to have, because I've not seen one, I mean, other than in some of your videos. Do you have an Altello behind you by chance?
I don't have one ready, but I can ask my guys to bring me one, which is under construction, so you will see it, okay?
Oh, okay.
Hold on a second.
Got a little shop tour going on here. Well, while we're waiting for Claudio to return, I can remind you all to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the share button. Tell all your friends about this. We've got some really cool new stuff coming up. We'll be getting some new Rampone horns in here before too long. So, oh, there he is wandering around. The Altello that I mentioned is a really unique piece that Rampone does. To simplify it more than it should be, it's a straight alto. Oh, we got some necks here. Okay.
Yeah. This is the regular alto, one of our many alto necks.
Right.
And Paula is getting the one of the Altellos under construction for us. But this is our Altello neck, which gives you.
So you can see the angle difference.
This case as well. We decided to come out with something which is absolutely different, So you see, look, the angle.
Yeah,
it's much shorter. So you cannot use this one on the regular alto, because we developed a longer body on the straight alto, with the possibility, by the way, to offer the Altello range low B flat to high F sharp, or low B flat to high F, of course, but as well as low B flat high G. So it's the only alto in the market basically that can be delivered with a high G key, because we created,
that's amazing.
Making the neck shorter. We made a longer body, which allows us to position a tonal for high G eventually.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, how well? We haven't seen an Altello here in the States yet. I mean, how well do they do for you over there in Europe? I mean, you must be selling quite a few of them to continue to make that.
Absolutely. The Altello is something.
There we go.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
This is the R1 Jazz AUG finish. So gold wash inside the bell, linted silver plated body. In this particular case, we have just a IF sharp tonal, but as you see, we have this extra part of the body that allows us to position the high G eventually.
That's amazing.
The average, I think we make in between 15 and 20 per year.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Yes, I mean, we have sold a few in the States, but there is right now a couple of really specialized alto players that they will love to build or push their own career more on a straight alto, that are kind of very keen and anxious to play test our straight altos, because again, it's something very, very personal and unique. So this will be neck,
right?
Very high angle, And again, as I told you, this neck cannot work up here. It can match a little bit, but it's too long, so it's not working. In terms of pitch control and other things, it's not the correct proportions, So you can already consider by yourself that with such a different neck, and the neck is a very, very crucial part for producing our voice. This Altello has a very unique voice.
I'm sure. Yeah.
The idea was to offer alto players an alternative, not for sure to sub the regular alto, which is great.
Right.
notes. So in my mind, I wanted to, sometimes when you play and you bend notes, playing more jazz, let's say, and of course, as much as your air column is bigger, so alto tenors and so on, you are facilitated to bend notes. When you step on the soprano, you don't. It's really harder to bend notes and create that jazz feeling of you're bending the note, but in control.
Right.
And so I'm thinking that I don't have such a note bending. How to say albums, even music made by a soprano. So I was designing this, considering like a huge soprano,
Right.
So for me, this alto should sound a little more like a more soprano-ish on top, And then, of course, we made it, and other people are describing our altello like almost a tenor at the bottom because it's very in between two rails, very powerful. But basically, the idea behind it is made to have like almost like a big soprano in your hands, but still it's an alto, so you can bend notes. Right. There is like a great video on YouTube, I believe, of Chris Collins that uses our altello. It's playing one of those Billy Strayhorn pieces, which is insane. This is exactly the idea of what we wanted to do by designing this new saxophone.
Fantastic.
This is available like R1 Jazz, so it can be purchased in a bare brass, silver plated, fully gold plated, gold and silver plated. We do as well have like a solid copper, a bronze, and a nickel silver. We didn't make a two voices straight alto yet.
Okay. Great.
Silver.
Well, Claudio, we are running a little short on time here, and as I've said, we can sit and talk all day long.
Yes.
But man, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to meet with us and talk with our customers and fans out here, and we are big Rampone fans and excited to see what we've got going on in the future here. So. We're going to wrap this up because I've actually got to get to work myself. So.
It's great if this was of interest for a good number of people, and you may want to create like something for the future, which is more focused on specific questions or topics. I will do my very best to make myself available, because it's the best way for us is always to meet our customers, to talk and share our ideas with them, because it's what is making me excited. And it's what we have been doing in the last 35 years, staying close to musicians that really help us to develop, I believe, great horns. So that's a big pleasure for me as well.
Yeah, we would love to do that. We'll you and I'll talk later, and we'll maybe set up some future events and make some of that happen.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Well, we're gonna sign off here. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao, my friend.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you, everybody.